Up next on Inside ChampCar, science fiction, viruses, and racing. Welcome to the current edition of Inside ChampCar. It feels very... When we start talking about science fiction and viruses, it sounds very Inside Edition, Bill.
It does.
But it's not.
UFOs are if you watch YouTube and you hang out on YouTube like I do, to the not so happiness of my wife, all you see are UFOs revealed. The U.S. U.S. is hiding classified information. And
so my wife will walk in at various times into the studio, and she'll look at my monitor and she'll say, "What rabbit hole are you going down now?"
Exactly. Yep. That shows our age, man.
Anyway,
it all started with Leonard Nimoy a long time ago with his his weekly TV show about issues.
All right.
Around the
So
world.
the guy at the top right corner.
Oh yeah,
that's Bill Strong.
We have a guest.
Guy in the bottom right corner. I guess right corner. That's me. And then the good-looking guy in the big box. That's a guy you know, Bill.
Yeah, Steve Sawicki.
Steve Sawicki. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing really well. It's good to be here.
We're glad to have you. My
Thank you
first
for joining
time.
us, and we'll see you next week.
Oh
wait,
what's next week?
no,
What's next
no,
week?
I don't know.
We haven't even gotten done with this week yet, Bill.
Oh, okay.
Got to do this week first.
Steve, now you real quick. You've driven with Visceral Racing Championship team. A couple weeks ago, you drove with Sparrow Speed, Miata team. You've driven with a couple other cars as well. How'd you get started in racing? Beat you to it, Brian.
Good job, Bill.
Well, I started back in probably 2005 with Skip Barber driving the open wheel open cockpit,
Skippy,
doing that series, and that's really expensive racing for fairly small amount of seat time.
Yeah,
and I realized I couldn't support that, and so I went from there to karting. Johann Schwartz actually ran a karting program called Endurance Karting, and Johann races ChampCar, and was also the TA champ a couple of years ago. So I raced karts with him for a couple of years, and somebody there said, "Well, if you like this, you really should try. There's a thing called Lemons and ChampCar, and they race all over the place, and it's fairly reasonable. You should go try them." So I did some research. I looked up. I ran into a couple of Russian kids who had put together a BMW, and said, "Yeah, we're going to do this race in Ohio. You should, if you want to come, just give us a couple $100 and come race with us. It's a 25-hour race." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. What could go wrong with that?"
Yeah.
The value per minute was just incredibly good.
Right.
Too good to pass up. So my first race with ChampCar was the 25-hour, 25-minute, 25-second race at Nelson Ledges.
Yes, yeah.
And
I thought it was 24,
24.
24.
It was the year before that.
Oh yeah, then it was 25. Yeah, that's right. We had it on an hour.
It was the longest endurance race ever.
At that point. Yeah, because then they went on to doing some stupid 38-hour races.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. That's a ridiculous amount of time to be in a car.
As a car owner, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
So,
and then I did the 24-hour VIR race a month later.
Oh yeah, I was there for that. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, did you do that with? When did you come on with Visceral?
2014. So it was
it at Summit?
No, Lime Rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we didn't go to that one. We were watching it though.
Yeah. Ron was looking. Had just created the new team. He had done one race,
and that was at Summit Point. Yeah, because that's when I first met them. I have a picture of their car and the whole bit. Their first race out, it was gold or whatever Porsche calls that color.
Yeah,
like a bronzy gold.
Yeah, so that was my first race with him, and then did 5. No, more than that. 7 years.
Yeah,
8 years, something like that. Yeah. So a lot of races with Visceral, and I did some racing in between. While Ron was trying to.
Right.
I did some racing with Art Banks and raced with Mike Ogren in his VWs, and Cranky Anchors did a few races with them as well.
Right.
So
very different cars. Pretty much all those cars that you just mentioned. Go to Porsche to what was Robin running then? The Saabs?
Oh, the Saab. Yep.
Yeah. Was that the one that's just basically it's a shell with an engine attached to something at the front and maybe a hatch at the back? I don't even think he had that on it. It was everything out of that car that did not make it go forward fast was out of it.
Yeah, the car was fast.
Yeah.
And I raced a Coda with him and then at Watkins Glen as well. And we were actually leading it at the Glen before the car threw a belt, and that was it.
Yeah, his cars are always pretty awesome. It's like I remember looking at it, just going, man, and I think we were doing a race where it was going to be like 100 degrees NCM, and he was so upset that he was going to. Everybody was complaining about needing a cool shirt. He didn't want to add that extra weight to it, which totally understandable. But Mike Ogren, he's kind of infamous, or not infamous. He's famous through the racing.
He does
here in the East Coast.
He races.
He does everything
with a lot of different organizations.
Yep. SCCA and NASA and everybody.
Yep.
So, I think back when I was with him, he was only doing ChampCar, and then he had plans to. He had wanted to get his son more into SCCA, and so eventually started to branch out. But Mike was an interesting guy.
I think his son did pretty well recently doing something, Spec Miata or something, something. I saw him.
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, doing something. But
yeah.
So national champion last year.
Sometimes I just want to run.
Wait, what was that?
Nothing.
Echo. So wrong button. Running with Visceral Racing. National champion, almost national champion a whole bunch of times, it seemed like. He was always there, but just something stupid at the end, like a bolt or a fuse.
Well, Sonoma was the race where we had, we brought the car out to Laguna Seca in December. We said, well, if we're going to go out, let's do Laguna Seca, and then we'll do Sonoma. We brought the car out to Laguna Seca, and about an hour into it, I was driving, and the car died. And we broke a torque tube, which
I remember that. He had never done.
Which we've never done, and he didn't have it. He didn't have one. So we started calling junkyards, and nobody knows what a torque tube is.
Right.
All they'll say is Porsches. Yeah, we have Porsches. Come and take a look.
Yeah.
So we went and looked at a lot of cars, and we eventually found one. And unfortunately, they wouldn't let us bring a jack into the junkyard. And they had the car set up on a wheel under the differential.
Oh, geez.
If you want to get a torque tube out, that's not where you want.
That's not where you want the wheel. No.
So we had to figure out a way to lift the car up to get the wheel off. And we eventually did that, and then got the torque tube. So it was a whole adventure. We worked on the car until 11 o'clock that night.
Wow.
Still didn't get it fixed. The next morning, we still didn't get it fixed. We got it fixed to get it out at Laguna to finally do some track time.
Right.
And then we stored the car for 2 months.
Yeah, right.
Until Sonoma. Ran well in practice. We won the race going away on Saturday. Sunday, we led the race pretty much right from the beginning. 40 minutes from the end, the other driver and I are sitting in the car trying to get a little warm because it was cool. And Ron was in the car, comes on the radio and says, the car's dead.
Oh, no.
And we said, what? And then he just shut everything off. He wouldn't respond to us. And we just, one of the fuses had gotten some rust on the prongs and stopped making contact and shut the car off. And we couldn't get it started.
He was trying everything, man. We had a camera on him the whole time, and it was just.
That's the classic.
It hurt.
He was frantic, but really, within 5 minutes went by, and that was it. We were never, even if we got the car fixed going back up, we were never going to get. That was it. We lost it. And that to me was my championship.
Yeah.
I was in the car both days. We had done really well. We should have had that race, and just because of a nickel fuse.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just saying that's the classic story of the 10-cent part that that fails at just the right or wrong time, and who thinks to change the fuse box?
Yeah.
I mean,
or
we
even
go
check to see if there's rust on them. You just don't. think.
I mean, we nut and bolt the car. We look at big things that wear items.
Well, he was even doing the same thing. He's like going through and looking through. He looked in the fuse box. They all look good. Then he's changing
so the
wires
fuse wasn't
and
even broken. It was just so when you looked at it, it looked right.
Yeah, it looked fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was the connector inside, wasn't it? That was bad or something.
Yeah. There was just rust on the prongs, and over the course of time, it just stopped making a connection. And that was it. It was my job after that race to take a file and to file down the fuses to make sure they were shiny and bright for every race.
Or just put new ones in.
Nah, we were too cheap for that.
Yeah, they're from the Northeast too. Everything you take metal outside for like 2 seconds and it's rusted out and already starting to fall apart.
That's what.
But you don't think of that as a potential issue. Is just there's no reason anybody would think that that's something you needed to take a look at.
But it's funny you say that, Bill, because out here I'm in SoCal, Steve, and there's no rust, there's no road salt, there's nothing. And we had a car out and was having problems, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And I'm talking with the guy, and he goes, "Yeah, I moved here from Michigan," and I'm like, "Oh, wait a second, you have Midwest problems on this car that you don't even know about."
Yeah,
he bought the car in Michigan, and I was able to help him real fast at that point. I'm like, "Oh, we got to look at all the Midwest problems." And
so when we go to Road America. The craziest stuff I'd ever seen up there was getting off the airplane, getting in the car, we're going to lunch, and looking at every vehicle, and none of them had sills on them. They were just complete rust and gone. That just blew me away. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
I was 55 years old or 50, I don't know, 50 years old, never seen that before.
Wow.
Geez, Bill, growing up, every car I got in had the driver's floor rusted out.
Oh yeah.
Well, see, in England, that happened because I owned Minis and Fords, the Capris.
Right.
And by the time I got them, they were 10 years old.
Yeah.
And, that's not 73. And then it was 82. So they were 9 years old. And, not much floor left. England just destroyed, they didn't have salty roads. They just had salt everywhere in the air.
Sure.
Everywhere.
Well, you're also getting in the car with wet feet and then putting them on the metal, and so there's always metal on the inside. There's always wet on the inside and the outside.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like they had floor mats like we have. Yeah, not like they have floor mats like we have nowadays. So, you're driving for Visceral, and let's talk about something that probably we don't talk too much about. What's it like? Just go to the UFO part, kinda. What's it like to be in the air upside down in a race car? Wait, let me preface that. Yeah. Nelson Ledges, Visceral a couple years ago. We have camera in the car. We have camera out on the corner. I'm standing out there. We had a big rainstorm. Nelson Ledges, it's always wet. And you're in the car, and I think you guys were leading, weren't you? Or
yeah, probably. We were,
or maybe Troy was leading. I say the MR2 was leading. That's what I'm going to say. So
now we know this is a story of fiction.
It was all pretty cool, but you get upside down. What was that like?
So I'm coming through the carousel, and the track had been really wet, so the cars have been sliding off. There were cars off. I think I had been off once prior to that, and I'm in the carousel, and the next thing I know, I'm going backwards, and I'm thinking, okay, I know there's a big tire wall. I'm taking my hands off the wheel, and the car hits, but that's not a big hit. It hits and it starts to roll. The next thing I know, I'm upside down, and I'm thinking, "Oh, this is really bad. I better be prepared to get out of this thing before fuel comes out and it catches." And then a second later, I'm right side up again, and I think, "Oh, wait a minute, that worked out okay." And the car's still running.
Oh, she never even shut off.
And I look out the windshield, and the tire barrier is in front of me, and I'm thinking. And then I see the track, and I'm thinking, where am I? I can't think of any part of the track where there's a tire where I would go off and there'd be a tire barrier between me and the track.
Right.
So I put it in reverse and went to back it up and backed it up on top of a tire. I guess when I went over, I threw tires all over the place.
Yeah.
So I high spotted it on a tire. And it took a long time for the corner workers to get there. I'm trying to figure out, trying to go forward. I'm trying to go back. Car is stuck. And finally, a corner worker gets, and I say, "How does the car look?" And he says, "Car looks fine." I said, "What am I stuck on?" He says, "You're stuck on a tire." I said, "How do I get back to the track?" He said, "You can't." I said, "What do you mean I can't?" He said, "You're on the other side of the tire wall." And that's when I said, "Well, wait a minute. I went over the tire wall."
Oh, wow.
So I'm on the other side of the tire wall. So in order to get back, I would have to drive around the outside of the track, get onto the road, and then come in through the main entrance, which would have been odd.
Does that get a cutting the course penalty?
Well, that was a long way around.
Yeah, I think that would have taken so much time they wouldn't have. So the tow truck shows up, hauls me back over the tire barrier, and I'm thinking, "Oh, please don't pull anything off the bottom of the car."
Yeah, no kidding.
And they pull me back over, and I say, "Is it okay if I drive away?" And they said, "Yeah, do what you want."
Yeah, that's Nelson.
And I look off, and I see the pace car coming with the field.
Yeah,
put it in first, carefully drive off the grass, get onto the track just before the pace car.
Oh, yes.
Radio in to say, "Hey, I'm coming in." And then pitted. We changed drivers, and the car ran for another 3 hours. And then finally it had an overheating problem. And that's what put the car out. But
so what was on the, was it tire wall and then nothing behind the tire wall? There was no guardrail.
You've been to Nelson Ledges, right?
Yeah, but 100 years ago.
Okay, so you have the carousel.
The tire walls are like this. They're not square. They're pyramids.
Stacked.
So when I hit the tire wall, the car just rolled right over
Got it.
And ended up on the outside. And there's an access road
on the wheels.
Sure. Okay.
There's like an access road out there that you can take to get around the track, but you'll see horse and buggy carriages and stuff out there,
Yeah, I'm not even sure there's an access road when you get back to the section I was in. I think
it's a river, but swamp,
I think it was all wetlands, which it would have been a whole different problem. But I rolled right over the tire barrier and landed on the tires, and
so that was it. And everything was fine, other than at the end you had a little overheating problem. Were you able to trace that back to going upside down? Probably.
No, we never were able to trace that back to anything. It may have been that the driver in the car at the time just stopped paying attention to the temperature gauge.
Well,
there was some damage. There was some damage to the. Let me see. I went it backwards. There was some damage to the left rear fender. When I pitted, they had to pull it away from the tire, but it wasn't rubbing. There was no smoke. There was no sound. So it was really, literally the gentlest big crash I've ever had.
God, I wish mine were like that.
And awesome. It was captured. It was live. On ChampCar Live at the time, so everybody got to come with me,
and we got to again test our camera equipment, make sure that it holds up in a crash, and it does well.
Crash tested,
it never moved. Crash tested. So earlier you were talking about you started out with Skip Barber, that you don't have you didn't have a lot of money because it's normal life, but you have a bookcase, so you're loaded. None of us have bookcases.
Wait a second. What?
That's not a bookcase.
Well, behind me, there's books.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
All right. But that's like a Home Depot thing.
Books. Look where I pulled that out of. Right behind me.
Steve's got a proper set of bookcases, man.
Yeah. Well, not books on it too. But
oh my gosh, smokes!
That's a righteous library.
Let's get into that, Steve.
And all four walls look like that.
So let's get into that.
Sure.
Let's get to the sci-fi part. So I've known you for a number of years, and we've had some good talks over these races. You're going for 24 hours, 14 hours, and we're a commercial, or they just send me on pit lane, and I'm not doing anything because Paulie wants to hog all the airtime. I sit and talk to these guys, and Steve's one of them, and we have some really good conversations. And so you're not only a blogger about sci-fi, but you also have written some books.
Yeah. So actually, the top shelf, everything on there is something I've written.
Oh, wow.
So it's, I don't know, 6 or 8 feet worth of stuff altogether.
But it's not just sci-fi. You also do, because your day job is working with the New York State Health Department. So you've written papers and.
Yes. Yeah. I've done some papers, articles, posters, I do a lot of presentations.
Mm-hmm.
I do quality improvement work with a statewide program called New York Links, where I'm focused on helping HIV programs do what they do just a little bit better to improve HIV care. And we're really close in New York to ending the HIV epidemic in the state.
Cool.
So another year or so, and the epidemic essentially will be pretty much over here, which is a big deal.
Oh, no question.
It
Absolutely.
is actually huge. So your sci-fi, what kind of sci-fi do you write? Futuristic? Well, I guess it would be futuristic, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I write. I mean, I write a mixture of stuff. I write some fantasy. I've done some horror. I've done some science fiction. I don't do nuts and bolts science fiction. I don't have the science background for that. So I tend to do social science fiction. Do a lot of things with. I do a lot of things with aliens. A lot of what I do is playing with reality, is interpretations of reality. So what one person or people think of as reality compared to what somebody else may think of as reality. And actually, I do a book review column called "The Damn Aliens Speak to You," and it's all about them interpreting human behavior through human writing. And they're not the smartest bunch of aliens to begin with. So, Earth is way out on the spiral arm of the galaxy, which it's far.
That's being reassessed. Seems like daily now.
Yeah, it takes a while to get to us from the center.
Yeah,
and so all the smart aliens are in the middle, and the ones that are struggling to maintain their position and are sent to the spiral arms.
Well,
so
wait
a
second.
We don't get the brightest aliens.
So are the crazy?
Are we being swung out? I thought we were moving inwards.
Either way, we're so far away from the center, it's not going to make a difference.
So are the crazy aliens on the left or on the right? No, I'm sorry. Never mind.
There is no left or right. That's the thing.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's
aliens are central, man.
Okay.
They're like libertarians.
The alien perspective is that we're doomed, and it's just a question of, it's a matter of days, maybe weeks.
We as in humans are doomed?
Yeah.
Well, I could have told you didn't need an alien to tell me that.
I still think we're living in a simulation. I'm just kidding, but they're working on science on that too, aren't they? Right now,
they are. I mean, that's an interesting interpretation if you want to avoid responsibility for everything.
You mean like this job?
Well, we can do anything we want because it's a simulation. Okay,
I can just reset.
See, I use my heritage for that, Steve. I'm Polish. You can't. It's not my fault.
Sure, get me in trouble.
I'm part Polish, so I get most of that.
Speaking of Polish, did you guys see a Polish team won at Le Mans?
They did, absolutely.
And one of its drivers broke its foot when it got ran over by a Corvette.
Oh yes.
How Polish is that?
Yeah. And they were sponsored by a Polish bakery, so they probably had a backseat full of babkas.
The owner of the team made their money is a big Polish bakery.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, absolutely, bring on the babka. No question.
I thought that was a great story.
It's an awesome
and I'm glad
story.
they won. I'm sorry the Iron Dames came in fourth, but I'm glad.
Yeah.
That team won the LMP2.
Yeah, that was cool. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
I was rooting for the Iron Dames because I just my first Le Mans, actually the only Le Mans I went to, an all-women's team was there, and they ended up breaking the chassis in practice, and they pretty much spent the whole race trying to glue this carbon fiber chassis back together. Never got it back together. But just remember, they're sitting there at 2 a.m. with my binoculars over in the Jaguar. I think it was Jaguar. Stands, just looking into their pit lane, just watching them work on this car, feeling so sad for them because you kind of rooting for them.
You spent time in Britain, Bill. It's a Jaguar.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, so back to this sim thing.
Yeah.
What is this that we're living in a sim?
Yeah, there's some people that think we're living in a simulation. Like, what was that movie? Take the blue pill and the green pill, something like that.
Oh, The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Like the Matrix.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Matrix 2 is coming out too.
Yeah, it's kind of an out there theory that people supposedly have evidence of this, and they put some strange stuff out for evidence. But it's one of those things you're never going to be able to prove it, right?
Right.
So
unless they do an update.
You'll never know. That's the thing.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's right.
The update will
version
update you, and
2.0.
you'll never be aware of it. So it's like I said, it's. I think the imaginings of people who just feel helpless about their situation, and the easy way to deal with that is say, oh well, I'm not responsible for anything. This is I'm being controlled by somebody else, and it's all make believe, and I don't have to worry about anything.
Nice. So I'm friends with Sam Moses, who's a writer as well. I've also kind of befriended some other folks that are writers, but they never raced, but they're putting together some racing stories, which I kind of find odd, but is what it is. You ever thought about writing a book about racing?
Not a book. I also do screenplays.
Oh,
and
wait, let me get my.
Hold on a second. I'm the one who lives in Hollywood.
This is why you don't mention that often.
I say, are you sure you want to mention this? Because I'm ready to steal it and run it right downtown.
I got a script.
I was actually I had a producer friend of mine, and we were I had come up with the idea of doing a reality TV series, and we put together a package, and we had a meeting at Fox in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
With the showrunner for America's Next Top Model.
Okay. Wow, that precludes us, man. Sorry.
And we met with him on a
Speak
Friday.
for yourself.
So I drive. It's the writer's strike. So I drive in through the writer's strike and through the Galaxy Gate, and we go have this meeting. We met for an hour and a half, and we did the pitch, and we shared all this material. And he said, "It's very interested. I'll let you know." And we went back and had lunch, and in the commissary. And I got eating at a Hollywood studio is a really odd experience because everybody there is incredibly good looking.
Oh yeah.
And you just look around, you think something's not. Talk about a simulation. You think something's not right here. What is it? And we got a call the next day, and the guy said, "Yeah, we're interested. Let's go with it. I'll have the paperwork on Monday." It was going to be called Fast Women. It's going to be about women in racing.
Right.
He got a call. The showrunner got a call from Endemol, which was the biggest producer of reality TV in Hollywood. And they offered him a vice president position, which he took, and he left Fox.
Yeah.
And your paperwork stayed at Fox.
And the paperwork was never signed.
Oh.
And that was it. That's all she wrote.
Didn't they do a Seinfeld episode like this?
I was about 12 hours away from being an executive producer on a reality TV show on the Fox network. And it all went away. And we had a couple of more meetings with other production companies, but we never got that close. So writing is a very tough business, and it's gotten tougher since 9/11, when the publishing industry kind of went into the toilet. So it's anybody who says they want to have a career in the arts it's very similar to racing.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, go for it, but don't expect to be successful. You're gonna spend a lot of money going, not coming in mid-pack.
So, since we can all self-publish now, does that make it easier or harder?
Makes it easier to publish yourself. You're not going to make any money,
right?
I mean, that's the thing, right? If you want to publish just to get your stuff out there, you're living in the time you want to be living in,
right?
You just put it into Amazon, they pop it out, and then it's up to you to sell it,
right?
And you won't, because you don't have that many friends.
Yeah. You don't know that much about me, Steve. How did you learn all this about me?
You probably don't know how many books you have to actually sell to make some money.
I can only imagine.
I mean, it's in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
So if you want to publish just to put something out there, absolutely, do it. Go for it. If you want to do that because you want to be a writer for your job, not going to happen.
Yeah. So how many books have you written?
So I'm a short fiction writer primarily.
Okay.
I've written one novel. It did not get published. I've written a couple novels actually. Neither one of them got published. but I'm primarily short fiction, nonfiction, and screenplays. I've had a few screenplays. I've got some producer credits.
Nice.
For movies and things. Had one screenplay that I was a co-writer on get produced. Was released only in Germany, oddly enough.
You and David
never actually
Hasselhoff.
seen it. So it was written. It was about a drug dealer and a police chief in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and why Germany decided they wanted to make that. I have no idea.
Huh.
Crazy.
So I had a friend, Mike Sturgis. His dad is John Sturgis.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Because John did the filming racing part of Le Mans before he quit.
Oh, the original Le Mans.
Yeah.
Okay.
And before it was whoever came in to make the story.
The James Garner Le Mans.
Yeah, John wanted to make a story, and McQueen wanted racing.
Of course.
So Mike told me, he says, yeah, his dad got home early, and they were, family was confused. Why are you home early? And he said, I will never work with that McQueen ever again. But Mike, I worked with at University of Virginia, and before he passed away, I want to say 10 years ago of pancreatic cancer. Really sad. But he had left UVA for a bit after his dad passed away and tried to go back to LA and sell some screenplays. And even with his name, it was so difficult.
Yeah.
And his dad was prolific with movies and just,
It's a question of who you know more than anything else. Talent really has very little to do with it. And as you get older, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher because they don't want to, it's I was actually part of a lawsuit where we sued the production companies for age discrimination. We won.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it did us any good, but the lawyers made a lot of money.
Yeah. Sure.
Which is how those things usually go. But I should mention also before we get any farther that my wife is a writer, and she is a novelist. She's had 8 or 9 novels published.
Wow.
And her name is Barbara Chapitis. If I don't mention her name and say that, I'll be in big trouble.
What kind of what genre does she write?
She writes science fiction as well, and also what's got the label of women's fiction, but it's really straightforward fiction, straight fiction. Some of it's pretty funny.
You'll need to give us
science fiction is cyberpunk.
Sure.
in that
realm.
Yeah,
cool.
Yep.
You'll have to give us the links so we can put it in the show notes so that you can sell some books.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we don't care about get you into a race car, but we want to sell you some books.
Well, selling books gets me in a race car.
Well, there you go. So
that's that in my 5 jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah, you pretty much do. Kind of have to do that nowadays.
Yeah, tell me about it. So
it's getting more expensive, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. What's up next for you as far as getting in a race car?
I'm not in a car until I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think about VIR. I have a love-hate relationship with VIR. I have raced there, I think 7 times. I have never been in the car that's finished. Visceral say we'll swear they finished a race, but we blew a tire with 3 laps to go, pitted, and when we actually stopped dead in the pits with a flat tire when they threw the checkered flag. So we technically did not finish that race.
I was your replacement driver one year.
You were. I had the flu. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I paid for that seat.
Wait, so did I.
Uh-oh.
Rod.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble now.
Yes, you were. You took my spot because I got the flu really bad, and I said, I just don't want to take a chance of more of infecting everybody else.
The funny part, I was a slow guy on the team, and they said I was no different than the guy I replaced.
Yeah, they told me the same thing. They said, we put Bill in, and he drove just like you, slow. I said, well, that's kind of cruel.
Well, I didn't want to wreck the car. First of all, I'm Bill Strong. if I wreck a car, everybody's going to know it. Everybody. I mean, hell, I got out of the car. I forget who the guy was. It's a really tall guy that runs with you guys.
Dave. Probably.
Yes. So I get out of the car. Dave is like helping me out of the car, and he lets go, and I just face plant.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell people that the type of guy you want in the car is the one that doesn't wreck the car. You know, if you want to get rides, you know, there's a couple of pro drivers who I'm pretty good friends with, and usually, I always tout when they bring the car back with all the doors and all the wheels pointing in the right direction, and that's a really good thing. But they're also fast, Bill. So it's good to be safe, but you also need to be fast.
On this edition of ChampCar Live. Oh, wait, sorry.
Well, the thing about that, remember, slow is relative.
Yeah.
Right. So trust me, I know for a fact Bill was not slow. He may have had the slowest time of those drivers, but there were some fast drivers in that car.
Yes, there were.
It's a really fast car. So,
and I'd never driven. Well, so my experience in the 944 was racing with it, not in it, but with it, with our 2.2 liter Toyota MR2s, because they were equal when we were all about, when we were all heavy cars before Ron went on a diet.
Yeah.
And I got fat. Our cars were pretty equal, and they handled a lot alike. Yeah. We went into the corners the same way. We came out of the corners the same way, and we stayed together. And we had some great racing over the years. Yeah. And then I had to go through and do the stupid Troy Trulio thing to my car and shove a V6 in it, and we pulled away from you guys. So it wasn't really a race anymore until Ron went on the diet.
Right.
But yeah, it was, well, first off, I didn't want to wreck the car because I knew it could win that race. Of course, other people say, no, it couldn't. Well, it can. It's a potential winner wherever it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't want to cause anybody else's, I had an early stint of a 24-hour race. The last thing you want to do is take somebody out in a 24-hour race.
Right.
Especially when you work for ChampCar.
Right.
So, yeah. That's kind of why I was slow.
And you remind me of something, Steve, which makes really good sense. Is I remember I was down at Daytona one year, and Ganassi had put together kind of the dream team. It was Juan Pablo Montoya, Scott Dixon, Scott Pruitt, and I forget who the third guy was, but this was like the dream team. And I'm talking to I actually had a chance to get all four of them together. And I looked at all four right and straight in the eye, and I said, one of you is going to be slowest. And then they all kind of started doing the whole peacock thing. I'm not going to be. He's going to, but so you're right. I mean, you can be the slowest guy on a team full of studs and still be the slowest guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and also they run the car all the time, whereas and that's my excuse.
That's your
I know
excuse.
Randy Popes would never seen the car arrive with his rental car, get out of the car, 2 hops into the car, and go out and set FTD the other day. That's Randy Popes.
Yeah, but Randy spends a few minutes spend a few more minutes than you driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that seat time.
Oh yeah, it's everything.
Seat time counts for
it's all muscle memory.
We know this because you and I have taken time off from racing a little bit here and there, and we come back and it's like, man, I'm the best driver out there. I've got a trophy to prove it, and 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 you get out of the car for a year and you get back in, and it's like it's not there at all. It's like, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, well, and the sport moves while you're out.
Yeah.
The cars get quicker, the equipment gets better. It's
the tires are probably different.
Better.
Yep.
Yeah, when we were doing a lot of races a year, it was just so much, it was by the end of the year, you're just like, yeah, this is nothing. We're gonna be up there. And we were.
Yeah.
And then a year and a half later we tried doing the same thing, and guess where we were? not up front.
Yeah. Yeah. And the car, like you were talking about Ron's cars. I mean, we went when he added the wing, that was an entirely different car.
Yeah.
We were at Road Atlanta, and we were coming off the back straight and the downhill. We were braking where we normally do, and the car would come almost to a dead stop by the 2 marker. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is not right.
Yeah.
I got to brake way, way later now that the wing's on this. And it took us quite a while for us to get used to that car. And we've been driving those cars for a couple of years at that point. So, and then a couple of years later, he got rid of the wings. And then, so you're having to relearn. Each time you get in a different car, you have to relearn that particular car.
There's one race at Road Atlanta where his car was just the guys were like complaining the car wasn't right, but they're leading the race and Road Atlanta, and it's getting late at night. I think I just interviewed Ron in the car, in his personal car.
Right.
It was cold, so we went to where the heat was, and then he hops in the car, and I think the second lap out he wrecks it because it's just so undrivable. And I think his thing over the radio is, how the F did you guys drive this car?
Yeah.
I hate
you guys were complaining the whole time, because I think he said that they're complaining about the car. It's doing great.
Well, the car was moving. The car was moving under braking. The car was moving under there was the problem. That particular car had been hit so many times that the frame was twisted in a couple of different directions.
Yeah.
And so, you were able to fix that somewhat by camber and other things you can do with the tires. But when you're going fast and you hit the brakes hard, all that goes away, and the car just wants to go the direction it wants to go. So, but you get used to that, and you start correcting with the steering.
Right.
Yeah.
We had people get in the car and they would say the same thing. It was like, "Oh God, this car is undrivable. How are you guys out there going fast?" And it's like, "What are you talking about? The car's fine."
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to say Ron. Ron makes a hell of a car. Him and his son, they put together a hell of a car, and I don't want to talk bad about it, but yeah, there's just sometimes, as a builder, you think the car is great. Your drivers go out and they're like, "What the hell? What the hell did you do to this car?" You're thinking, "Oh, you mean it's good?" And they're like, "No, you did something wrong." Oh, you don't want tow out.
Right. Yeah, and then sometimes you don't get, the people don't believe you. You can bet you say on the radio, "Well, the car's doing this," and it's like, "Yeah, no, it's not."
Yeah, go faster.
Wait a minute, I'm in the car. You're not. The car's doing this.
Yeah.
You say, "Well, I've looked at it. Everything looks fine." And it's like, okay, but and then
wrong.
4 hours later, the ball joint breaks. It's like, tried to tell you that.
Yeah, been there. Troy yelling at me on a live stream, effing this, effing that, dude. I told you to fix that, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with it. Just go faster, and it does. Yeah.
And that's every team does that.
Sure.
It's just that it's the nature of the series. We're driving. I mean, this is an '85 Porsche 944. The car is almost 40 years old. What are we doing taking a 40-year-old car trying to make it go 8 hours at flat out speed? That's insane.
Well, not only that, you're taking it 8 hours here, 7 hours there, 14 hours there, 12 hours over here, 24 there. Oh, another 24. And you're doing this over and over and over again, year after year, in the same chassis. Now, there's a lot of guys in ChampCar that replace a car weekly, it seems like. But there's the traditional teams that have been with us a long time that have stuck with the same chassis. And, I think we're starting to see some of them. What's that? What would the word be? Not cancel out, but they're basically, the cars are disappearing. Timed out, because they are twisting, they're ripping. I mean, hell, look at Huggins' cars. I mean, he's ripping the chassis in certain areas. So
I hate that being
I mean, that's that's sort of the nature of the sport. When I first started with this, was all the cars are very old. We were fast, but not crazy fast. Now it's
crazy fast,
extremely fast. I gain more than a second a lap every year.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is a lot of speed. Which is a lot of speed.
Sure.
Yeah. And most of that's in the car build.
I keep a record of all our times as well. So you can see where, I put here's the car with the Mark 1 with the 2.2. Here's the Mark 2 with the 2.2. And at the track, same configuration. We go out the V6. It's like, whoa. Oh, we put the wing on. Whoa. It's just, or the big wing, not the little wing. And then it was like, oh, look, I did a whole racing for the whole year. I did 7 races here. Look how much better I got.
Sure.
And then we transitioned the next year. We had 10 races. And it's just so, the times. And then you'll see me take a 2-year break and hop in a car that should be about equal to mine. And look how slow I am.
Well, and I hate to defend Bill, because gosh, that's something I don't like to get into the habit of doing. But Bill, you also drive a lot of different cars. You hop in a car here, you hop in a car there, and you might do a stint here and you might do a stint there. It's hard to get good in any car when you're only in it for a stint. And then the next weekend, whenever that is, whether it's a week or two or a year or two, you get in a whole different car. Everything you knew doesn't mean anything anymore.
The only car that I did that with that I was actually felt was the not Visceral, Leviathan's MR2.
But that was a lot like what you already had.
Yeah, and it was more basic, but yes, less downforce, and but it was just like, wow, this, and I was a heck of a lot faster than they were, until they figured out, oh, the car can go fast, and then they picked up and got close.
Yeah, sometimes you need someone fast to get into to let you know that you can do it.
Yeah,
that counts. But a lot of this is relative too. I mean, if you've driven a while and you're halfway decent, you really can get in almost any car, and get to like 95% pretty quickly.
But we're talking about Bill.
It's that final 2, 3, final 3, 4, 5 seconds that really where the seat time really pays off, or having somebody say to you, coaching, have somebody say, look, you can go flat out through there. I do. And then you hope they're not lying to you.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. I've done that to Troy.
Because I've done that, and then they say, "Oh, well, you really went flat out there?" I was just kidding. And it's like, well, what do you mean you were just kidding?
Yeah,
that's a horrible thing to do to me.
Yeah, I did that to Troy, and I never will do that again.
No,
because it probably would have killed him if he knew.
Yeah.
Where was that? Charlotte, flat out in 3 before the repave. Definitely. Yeah. Are you taking flat out? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And he went and did. He said, he almost died like 6 times, but if Bill could do it, I can do it. Yeah. He tells it better.
All right.
So you're, we are, this is late here.
We're getting up on it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Steve, thank you for visiting us, and hopefully you find those aliens, and, good luck with your writing. You got typewriter and all that?
Not anymore. I used to type really fast. I still type really fast, but now I'm on a computer.
Was it electric, or did you have to push the buttons all the way down?
I started off with a manual.
Yeah.
So I was literally, that's why I don't have carpal tunnel, because I spent all those years pounding the keys.
Yes.
Literally pounding the keys. And then I went to a Selectric, and then, eventually I still pound the keys. My computer keyboards are actually, I indent the keys for my nails hit them.
Wow. That's hardcore.
All right. Damn.
Steve Sawicki, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Steve.
Look forward to meeting you in person one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now I can say it actually was a pleasure. You wondered if I was actually telling. Now that we're done, it was no question that it was a pleasure. Thanks for being with us.
All right, Steve. Thank you.
All right, when we come back, we'll get caught up on whatever's next. Stay with us. ChampCar Live continues.
ChampCar is an endurance road racing grassroots motorsports series. The idea of ChampCar is you can get a bunch of buddies together and on a budget go to these premier racetracks all over the United States and up into Canada and get maximum track time.
Josh here, Wasting Money Racing. The things that really draw us to ChampCar that we love is that the series is a little bit more serious than the other entry-level endurance racing series. And the series as a whole is like a big family, and everybody is always willing to help each other in any dire situation that you may have.
The rulebook is intentionally kept small to make it simple for everybody to go racing, and yet control costs for the competitors. For sure, one of the most exciting things for me with ChampCar was that I get to race on all these amazing racetracks, and it's super easy. No licensing, no special qualifications. All you need is your driver's license, your gear, your membership. Rent yourself some seat time, and you can go racing this weekend.
I enjoy racing with ChampCar because I think they provide the closest competition of all the amateur endurance series, and because they race at bucket list tracks.
Hi, this is Rick Brazar from Savannah, Georgia, RPM Auto Works Racing and Apex Predators Racing Team. What I like about ChampCar Endurance Series is the opportunity it gives an old guy like myself to get back into some competitive door-to-door racing with a modest budget. You can put together a really nice car for not a lot of money, and it's a lot of fun to go out there and mix it up with some top-notch drivers. I enjoy the camaraderie, I enjoy the friendship, and I enjoy the program that ChampCar Endurance Series has put together.
Welcome back to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. He's Bill Strong. You'd know that, though, because our names are right there on the screen, Bill.
Yeah, somewhere.
That was fun.
I like Steve. Steve's, like I said, entertaining guy to talk to. We had a lot in common during COVID because he got pulled off the age stuff and got put onto some other thing that was going on at the time.
Sure.
And so we had a lot to talk about because my wife, worked in that business as well.
Right.
So
right.
But yeah, it was a good guy to race with. Fun. I have a good time with him.
So before you go, Timothy Elliott was in the chat. He said if he was writing a book, he would call it As the Wrench Turns.
So, we talk about, he talked about doing a reality show, and we've had a lot of people want to do reality shows with us, and we've had meetings.
Sure.
To the point of we think this might work, but there's always, to me, having, I watch a lot of TV. I don't sleep much, by the way. I don't. But I watch a lot of TV or YouTube or whatever, and what people want to see are the wrenches throwing and the cussing and screaming and the, the drama.
Right.
Most of us don't really have that drama. I mean, the only real drama we see is if I throw a microphone in somebody's face as their car had just got punted off a track and, they're trying to fix their car. And I'm like, so what happened? That's the drama. Because, Bill's going to get hurt in a second if you don't walk away, Bill, is what somebody told me once.
No.
So, oh, yeah. It was a 24-hour. And I know exactly who it was.
You're so lovable, Bill. Why would anybody want to hurt you?
Not with a microphone on my hand. Of course, Doc's rooting him on.
Come on, take a swing. Take a swing. Fight.
Yeah. So, I'm always out for to create controversy. And so I have entered my Opel GT.
Nice. You and the kid.
Into the Sebring 8+7 hour New Year's race. Not the one coming up.
Funny story. So Bill posted he's entered the Opel, and I sent him a message. I said, Bill, is there room for a guy my size in the Opel? And the flat out one word answer, no. I was like, no sugarcoating. It's no.
I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, if we, it's tight for me. I have a big. I bought a bigger seat.
Yeah.
I bought one of those. It's an aluminum seat because I can't fit a proper seat in, but it's a full containment aluminum seat. And I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to fit this thing in there.
I mean, you mean you haven't put the seat in yet?
No, it's sitting there. Oh, it's in there.
It's in there. It's just not
don't
bolted.
know if I can get it out to bolt it in, but it's in there. Now it's tight and it's it fits me in no problem.
You and I are not dissimilar in height. It's just the girth issue.
Yeah.
I'm a manly man, Bill.
You are.
I'm going to have to find someone with a bigger can opener to go race at.
Well, I had a guy that drove for me that was, a little bigger than me, not much bigger.
Right.
But he drove the Opel and he couldn't get out of the car when it caught on fire. That scared the shit out of me. Excuse my language there, YouTube folks.
No, you got to be able to get out.
Yeah. Part of it was he didn't know how to get out of the car. There's a process you do. You get unbuckle, lift your pelvis up and slip it down a little bit, and then remove the steering wheel, and then you can kind of squeeze yourself out of there. And it's a process, but he didn't do it, and I made him do it while I was fixing the car after the fire to get in and out of the car. And he said, "Oh yeah, I can do it." And I was like, "Now put your freaking helmet on and do it with the Hans and all that, and then try it."
I tell people you've got to practice this in your garage at home, wearing all your gear, not
that
just
means
the
he has
helmet.
to come to my house.
Well, then do it in the in the paddock.
Yes,
before things.
And that's something we had done in the past, and I got complacent.
Right.
That's like I used to send all my drivers basically an instruction manual on how to make the car work.
Sure.
How to start it, how to shut it down, what happens if this happens. Here's pictures of the dashboard with all the switches and what they do. The $500 switch doesn't make it go $500 faster. It was just this extra switch, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
and it gave them a view out the car, what they saw.
Sure.
And it was just a manual. If they read it, don't know, but I know that some guys did, and they were thankful for that.
Right.
I had the same drivers over and over and over, and I just got complacent. And Kevin came on and as a crew member, and if you ever saw the picture of, I had been boasting about how great our fuel cans were. And, we never spilt anything and blah, blah, blah. We could dump in like 7 seconds. And this is before the quick fills. We'd modified them up. And I was doing something. Yeah. And somebody posted up a picture. So, Bill, explain this. And Kevin's got the can upside down where the vent is just peeing out fuel straight onto the wheel. So it's like,
upside down.
Oh, God. So Kevin also, he had a hard time getting out of the car, and I completely forgot. So that's one of the things that I've been really.
And your manual's a good idea. I was listening to an interview with Graham Rahal when he switched cars at Indy this year, and he went from his car to a whole different team, and one was Honda, the other was Chevy, and the steering wheels were completely different. So
on the wrong side.
Well, no, they're. Oh man. See, people, what I have to deal with.
Sorry,
no,
single
but
seaters.
The buttons were all in, the different things. Yeah. So they sent him a picture of the steering wheel and with the IDs of the buttons, and he had to literally go to study. So when he got in the car on Thursday or Friday for the first time, he didn't, hit the radio button, which was actually the fire extinguisher or the fire bottle.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because you can't see it because I'm wearing 100% bifocal, the reading glasses, but my normal glasses that I would race with are transition bifocal lenses.
Right.
So when guys have stuff written on a dash, I'm sitting there like, trying to figure out what's what, and you had maybe 20 minutes before the race to look at the dashboard and kind of go over what was on it and when, where. I like what the guys have done. Like at some of the teams like Salins have color coded dashboards.
I got a tech tip, Bill.
Oh,
ready? Hold on. So if you're a team that has a lot of drivers come in and out, you need to take a picture of the dashboard. Yes, give it to the drivers to look at ahead of time, but you need to have that with you during the race so that if you need the driver to press a button, you could actually help them, tell them where the button is. 2 buttons on left of the steering wheel, second button from the top. So, and sometimes if you're not in the car, and even if you spend a lot of time in the car, you might forget where those buttons are. So by having the picture there in front of you so that you can just pop it up and say, oh, yes, okay, yeah, a left of the steering wheel, second from the top. That might be the difference.
That's actually a really good idea. Yeah.
That might be the difference between having to come in and do an extra pit stop because the driver might just not know. And when you got a lot of new drivers or people that come in and out with arriving drives, that's a great idea.
Yeah, when I rewired my car, I got rid of a lot of the switches. They don't do anything. So we had relays and things that we put in. And basically it was just like everything goes up. You never touch a switch except for the main power switch off.
Right.
Everything else just stay on the whole time.
Right.
Fans, except for wipers, but that was a separate switch.
Anyway.
But, cool. So but that's a good idea, actually. That's really good.
Every once in a while, I have a good idea.
You do. So we got Autobahn coming up, race coming over tomorrow night. We're leaving from my house bright and early. I think somewhere around 3 or 4 a.m. He doesn't know it yet. Get to Autobahn so we can start setting up Flagtronics with Jimmy.
Nice. And
Thursday, and we have 32 cars for that race, which is pretty good.
Cool.
Yep. CMP we had too. That's where we're going to have our national board of directors meeting for ChampCar. That's going to be held at CMP. We'll be streaming that online.
Sure.
As on Thursday.
Okay.
And I'll be doing that local. We have 37 cars for that race.
Awesome.
Then we head to Sebring. 56 cars for that one already. I'm expecting that one summer. I think we'll be about 75 cars towards the end. Then we go to MSR Houston. We got 14 cars for that. We love to have more folks. We really, really do. High Plains, we're up to 21 cars now, though you'll see only 19 on there, but we have 2 more signing up today.
Cool.
Lifeline VAR 24. We're at 56 cars. That does have a limit of how many cars we can have on their pit lane. So make sure you sign up early so you don't get stuck out. And that's a 24-hour race at VAR, sponsored by Lifeline.
Yes.
I'm going to have to buy a fire system for it. Completely forgot about the fire system.
Well, there you go.
The Opal. So I got to pick one up here. They have like a $450 fire system. I saw.
That's not bad.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good.
That's not bad.
AAF or whatever.
Yeah.
So
before we go, Bill, we should wish all the dads out there Happy Father's Day.
When's that?
That's this weekend.
Oh, I'm a grandfather.
So happy Grandfather's Day.
Speaking of who, I don't know if anybody follows me on Facebook. My son's engaged.
Oh, congratulations.
So
gonna push another one out of the house.
I know. Well, he's gone, but yeah, him and Ashley got engaged.
That's fantastic.
Saturdays kind of surprised us.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all had bets on when we thought they were going to, I won. Everybody else was way off.
Nice. Well, that's good news.
Yeah. So yeah, lots going on with ChampCar. They're doing a board of directors meeting, I think right now, to sort out the presentation that I'll be finishing up here. Once they get all their stuff done, I'll be doing that up. They'll be announcing all the changes for the 2024 yearbook.
Okay.
Rule book, not yearbook, rule book. There's not that many.
Right.
But I'll let them tell it. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, no.
But But some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't agree with. But
it's not
that's
your
what
choice.
Happens when you have a club. It's not
That's
my
right.
choice. So yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I still want 454s to be legal in a Mini. But hey,
how many points would that be?
I don't know, but I want 36 gallons because a Mini came with 36 gallons somewhere in the world.
Sure, it did. You would need it if you put a 454 in there.
Yeah. I don't know who our guest is next week. I need to contact some. I've got a list of guests, which is pretty cool. If you want to be a guest on Inside ChampCar, please send me an email, bill.strong@champcar.org. If you can't remember that, you can just send it to media@champcar.org. Or even Dana. I don't care. Send it to somebody. Send it to whatever at champcar.org. It gets to Dana. He'll forward it to me. But we'd love to have you guys on as a guest. Talk about ChampCar stuff. And maybe not even ChampCar stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and we've done something tonight that I thought would never happen, Bill.
And that would be aliens.
We have created a podcast, YouTube, that my wife will actually watch.
That's too cool.
Because we talked about sci-fi.
There you go.
So I'm going to she'll actually
Wait,
sit.
are you a sci-fi nerd?
No, my wife is. And
Okay.
and kind of by osmosis, I have to be. I'm very like Star Wars is my sci-fi.
All
It
right.
really isn't sci-fi.
So, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Oh, Star Trek.
Yeah, no.
Star Wars is a cartoon. Ah.
Nah, I was never a Trekkie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's what I consider sci-fi. So, which means I'm not really a sci-fi guy. I know. I've been told this for my wife tells me this all the time. But anyway, so
that's fantasy.
This will be a oh gosh. This will be an episode that my wife will watch, the one and only. So
just look for the aliens. I'm
go.
loving the clickbait, man. I'm learning. I'm going to do more and more clickbait.
Yeah, we got to work on that. I got to work on that on all of my podcasts.
We need some fishermen on this podcast.
Yeah.
There's got to be racers that fish. Well, other than me.
So. I watch a YouTube. Oh gosh, we're digressing. I watch a YouTube guy who they're from Southern California, and they built a bass boat out of a 14-foot John boat, and they take this thing to all of these like huge like Bass Pro competitions, and they're going up against guys with $150,000 boats.
Yeah. And
the cool part is all of the guys with the expensive boats, all the the Babe Winkelmans and all the names that you might have heard of. That's the only name I can pull out of my butt right now. But they've like embraced these guys, and they love that they show up and they catch good. They catch their limits, and they've actually placed in a couple of these things.
Oh wow!
And they win enough money to go buy one of these boats, but they would screw up their YouTube shtick.
Oh yeah.
So they stay in there, but they improve their boat every couple of weeks, with a little something here. It's just a great channel, and they're just kind of cool kids.
So Tim Elliott just said something. Time Tunnel. I'm a huge Time Tunnel fan.
Oh, do I have to go find out what Time Tunnel is?
No, it's on Time Tunnel.
Okay.
It was made like 68 or 69.
Okay.
And it was only on for a year.
All right.
And they were told to save money, and they refused to, so they just stopped the show and put some stupid Western on after it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm a huge Time Tunnel fan. They put them up on YouTube, so they're popping up everywhere now.
Got it.
And it's kind of cool. So that and UFO, Space 1999.
Yeah.
Those are my things as a kid.
Awesome.
All right, folks.
Let's get out of here.
I think we're done. We need to get back to racing.
That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard or saw, subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel so you won't miss any episodes. Share it on your social media channels. Comment on the ChampCar Facebook page, especially if it's a good one. New episodes every Wednesday night on the YouTube ChampCar Live channel. And then on Fridays, we do it on the Racing Wire Podcast Network. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. Have yourself a great weekend and have fun and don't do anything stupid.